If you read the headlines lately, you're probably feeling a little panicked. There's this loud, scary story everywhere saying that if you want to retire, even just live a normal middle-class life, you have to be a millionaire. And not just any millionaire, a big one. I recently saw an article claiming that if you want to retire on $3,000 a month, you need $900,000 saved. $5,000 a month, $1.5 million. And if you want $10,000 a month, $3 million sitting there, just waiting. And I want to be very clear here. For most people watching this, those numbers are not just a little wrong. They're work 10 extra years for no reason wrong. Today, I want to walk you through how much you really need to retire. And I want to start with something that might sound impossible at first. First job.
Hi, I'm Imran, the instructor of finance courses and data analyst.
What if I told you that a typical married couple can retire on $3,000 a month with $0 in their investment portfolio? I'm not talking about hope. I'm not talking about luck. I'm talking about math, real numbers. And once you see it, those fear-based headlines start to fall apart. But there is a big catch. This works beautifully for some people. And for others, the math turns against you fast, especially if you're single. Let's get into it. The reason those articles scare people is because they all use this same shortcut. They take your monthly spending, multiply it by 12, and then divide by some rule of thumb like 4%. That's it. No nuance, no context. So $3,000 a month becomes $36,000 a year, divided by 4%, and suddenly you need $900,000. But there's one massive problem with that math. It ignores the biggest asset most retirees already have: Social Security. Let's look at the real numbers. The average Social Security check for a single retiree is about $2,071 a month. But for a married couple, the average combined benefit is about $3,200 a month. Now, pause for a second and let that sink in. If you're a married couple and your lifestyle costs $3,000 a month, your guaranteed income is already covering it. $3,200 coming in, $3,000 going out. That's it. From a pure math standpoint, you do not need an investment portfolio to pay your basic bills. No market withdrawals, no panic when stocks drop. Your income floor already does the job. Now, let me be very clear. This does not mean you should retire with $0. You still need cash. You still need reserves. But that money isn't there to keep the lights on. It's there for emergencies, flexibility, maybe legacy, maybe fun. But the headline claiming you need $900,000 just to survive on $3,000 a month, that headline is completely disconnected from reality. Now, here's where things change. If you're single, this math gets much tougher. If you're a single retiree, your average Social Security check is about $2,071 a month. If you want to spend $3,000 a month, you now have a gap. $3,000 out minus $2,171 coming in, that's about $929 a month you need from savings. That's roughly $11,000 a year your portfolio must produce, every year. To do that safely, you need roughly $237,000 saved. And this right here is what I call the single tax in retirement. A single person needs nearly $250,000 more than a married couple just to live the same lifestyle. It's not fair, but it is the math. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Who can live on $3,000 a month? Fair question, so let's step it up. Let's talk about $5,000 a month. The headlines say you need $1.5 million for that. Let's test it. For a married couple, Social Security covers about $3,200. That leaves a gap of roughly $1,800 a month, about $21,500 a year. And no, that does not require $1.5 million. When you factor in how spending actually changes in retirement, the real number is closer to $400,000, give or take. Think about that. One article says $1.5 million. The math says around $400,000. That difference alone could mean retiring years earlier with a lot less stress. But again, if you're single, the gap is bigger. $5,000 out, $2,000 in. That's about $3,000 a month from investments. That requires roughly $750,000 saved. Still high, but still half of what the fear headlines claim. Now let's talk about the big one, $10,000 a month. Luxury living. The articles say $3 million. Surely this one has to be true, right? Not exactly. Here's something most people don't realize. If you're in your 40s or 50s right now, you're probably spending more than you ever will again. Mortgage, kids, cars, insurance. Life is expensive. But retirement spending doesn't stay flat forever. Research shows it tends to gently decline over time, about 1% per year adjusted for inflation. People travel less, eat out less, needs change. This is sometimes called the spending smile. When you account for that, the math changes again. For a married couple spending $10,000 a month, the initial gap is about $6,800 a month after Social Security. That's $82,000 a year at first. But over time, that pressure eases. The result is that a $10,000 lifestyle doesn't need $3 million. It needs closer to $1.7 million. Still a lot of money, but not $3 million. Even for a single person, the number is closer to $2 million, not $3 million, not even close. Here's the most important takeaway from all of this. Retirement planning is not about hitting some magical pot of gold number, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. It starts with your income floor. Know what you spent. Subtract what's guaranteed to come in. What's left is the only part your portfolio has to support. And here's the warning. Every extra $1,000 you add to your monthly spending doesn't just cost $1,000. It puts exponential pressure on your savings. That's why budgeting matters more than stock picking. Fear-based headlines don't want you to understand this. They want you to scroll, panic, and think retirement is impossible. But millions of people retire every single year with far less than $1 million, and they're doing just fine. Retirement isn't about the biggest number. It's about knowing your numbers. If this made you feel a little calmer, hit the like button. If it made you think differently about retirement, consider subscribing. And tell me in the comments, does this math surprise you or does it finally make things feel clearer?
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe and share with others.